Welcome to this TDK12.net IT Babel video. I'm reviewing the solution I'm using for hybrid Hiflex streaming in our classrooms. So first let me define what that means. That means in every section, every day, there's a percentage of students who are at home and not at school. So it's not like I'm at home and all my students are at home and we're just working virtually. It's not like that. There's a percentage of students in the room and there are a percentage of students at home. The complexities are unique and varied depending on the room and on what subject that you're teaching. So it seems like when you start addressing all these problems that there isn't just a single solution. However, I think I found a single solution, at least for the video streaming. And audio, it really just depends on the room and the space. So for this demonstration, I'm going to show you how I have things set up. Now, behind me, you can see in the distance an iPad on a stand, and I'm going to step over to that separately and actually shoot a separate video of that, and then I will cut that video into this so it makes a little bit more sense. And then you'll see down at the bottom a phone that is connected, and that is my phone. I'm going to be using that to show you what a student would see or someone at home would see. The main point of the model is that the equipment we're using can be used after the current situation is over, so we're not wasting any resources. And it can be used in class with the students even if they're not using devices. A lot of teachers want students to not use their laptops. Sometimes they want them to just pay attention and take notes. So it's very hard to implement a model where the students in the room are seeing exactly the same thing that the students at home are seeing. And you might be thinking, no, when the teacher shares their screen, everybody can see it. I'm not talking about sharing screens. I'm talking about sharing the room, the space, the writing, the objects, the labs. Everything in the room needs to be shared. And I would say it needs to be shared in a sphere, not in just a simple circle or a simple shape, but the entire room needs to be encapsulated. So the teacher has as much flexibility as possible, and in this model, a teacher can assign someone in the room to help them. The basic concept is I'm using an iPad. The iPad has an account on it. That account is in my G Suite. I'll show you very quickly. These are some samples. Each iPad is a person in the classroom. On the back of the iPad, there is a sticker. It has the iPad's username and password. Whatever iPad you get in whatever space, or if you have 2 iPads or 3 or 4, it doesn't matter. You just join them to your meeting. You invite them by name to the meeting. They're in the meeting. Once you invite an iPad to a meeting, they're a person in the meeting. You can do interesting things like take the iPad and put it down to desk level and sit it at a desk with students so that the students at home are on the screen talking to students in the classroom. You can move the iPad wherever you want. Some of you are saying, iPad power doesn't last all day. That's true. Most teachers keep the iPad plugged in a fixed position until they're ready to use it remotely and move it around, and they don't move it around for more than an hour. And even if they move it around for 2 or 3 hours, the battery will still hold. If you're just using one iPad in your classroom all day and you're using the static meeting like you get in Google Classroom or static meeting in Zoom or Microsoft Teams, iPad can just stay connected all day. You just really need to connect it in the morning, and students can join whenever they want and they see your classroom or see whatever you want them to see. It is very flexible, and the iPads do maintain their connection all day. I have tested this with Meet, I have tested it with Zoom, and I have tested it with Teams, and they work very well. We don't use the audio on the iPad unless there's a microphone attached to it. If there's a microphone attached to the iPad, it's pretty solid. If not, you get a lot of feedback or the audio quality is just not amazing. But that's okay because we're using the audio on the laptop. So right now in this Meet that you're seeing, the students at home can see me on my webcam, or they can look at the iPad. They can look at both, or they can pin one. And I'll demonstrate that right now. All right, so this is my student at home view coming up on my phone, and this student has pinned the iPad. The iPad is currently looking at, that's right, my Agile Scrum backlog. and they're scrolling around. So I'm at home, I'm a student, I'm seeing what the iPad's seeing. That's totally cool. And then maybe I want to see my teacher, so I flip over to my teacher. So I've got two cameras in the classroom, and I can control both of them as the student. The teacher isn't controlling. The teacher is just enabling two cameras, enabling audio. Students at home can switch back and forth to see what they want to see. If you have younger students, you can prompt them. Okay, pin the iPad. The students pin the iPad. All the iPads at different divisions are named. The students can see them. It's a pattern. It's really easy. Teacher can say, hey, pin the iPad right now. We're working on the board. And again, I am the student interacting with the iPad right now. Okay, what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to go over to the iPad, and this is where the secondary video is going to come in. I'll cut this in with my camera. And the student view is going to change because I'm going to move the iPad so you can see other things the iPad can do. So here we have the iPad, and it is on a stand. And in fact, it is on a microphone stand. So I'm going to zoom this out. It's on a microphone stand. Microphone stands are very affordable, and they can go in any direction. This is a clip designed to hold the iPad, also very affordable, and there's a variety of clips out there. We've actually employed 3 different kinds of clips and holders, and they all work great. It really just depends on the preference of the teacher, and since they're all about the same price, you can give them some choices. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the iPad and I'm going to move it over here, and I'm just going to start writing on the board like I would if I were in a normal classroom. So you can flip the iPad camera if you want to use the front. Some teachers use this front camera to show all the students in the room, and then the students can see all the students in the meeting down the side. You can use it a lot of different ways. In fact, teachers are using it in ways I didn't even consider. I'm going to write now on the screen, or not on the screen. I'm going to write on the whiteboard. And let's use some math. So this is another reason I really like this model. I can just write on things. I can position the iPad however I want. Just like this. And I can capture as much of the board as I want. And I'm going to zoom here so you can see that I'm at a decent distance away from the board. As a teacher, if I want, I can just go over and start working on the board right now. If I have a student helping me, that student can adjust the stand and kind of adjust what's happening to really improve the classroom flow. And let's look at the view. So again, this is the student at home view, which is important. And it's a student, I'm on my phone, I'm zooming in. It's pretty clear, it's easy to see. I can see everything, and again, there's my teacher if I just want to say hi to my teacher or look at my teacher. Alright, the next thing that we need to look at is how the iPad can incorporate labs and other manipulatives into the meeting for students at home. Alright, so I've repositioned the iPad now on the stand. I've really just leaned it forward. You'll see the iPad's right here, and below it is a robot. So let's say that I had shipped some STEM kits off for students. I can position the robot under the iPad, and I can actually walk through building the robot. I can talk about it, rotate it around, we can look at the modules. I can do this with anything physical. So if I've sent lab kits home, I can really incorporate those labs now directly into the meet for the students at home. But of course, in the classroom, the students in the classroom are seeing this as well. This is on the screen in the classroom. It's running through my laptop. Students can watch it live, right on the screen, or they can sit around it. They also can have a conversation and talk about it. A student could do a presentation with this and work with students at home. You could even work on teams. You could have someone on the robotics team working from home with kids in the room. It's totally feasible. All right, I have adjusted the iPad now to put it down a little bit lower so it's more like a traditional document camera. One thing I do recommend is when you use these document cameras, you do them in the same space. So you position the iPad over the same desk or table, and then you just kind of mark the edges off so you know where to line the paper up. But you can work on it in different angles. It's really, to you. From this perspective, you can see the iPad is just shooting straight down, and you can just start writing. Just like that. And there we go. The student can zoom in and see whatever they want. The overall takeaway here is that the iPad is actually very, very flexible. And you don't have to use an iPad, you can use any tablet, but the iPad works really well because a lot of people already know how to use them. Some people ask if they could use their phones. You could use your phone. The only thing I recommend, though, is if you decide to use your phone, you need to disconnect all notifications and anything else. Like, you basically need a device set up just for this purpose. We did strip the iPads down. They are on a management system. They only have apps that we install. The accounts on the iPad do not work with the App Store. The iPad is designed for currently set up for the hybrid Hiflex situation. After that's over, we can reset them to do whatever we want. But in certain respects, it's clear that the iPad can replace things like document cameras, and the iPad can become just a flexible platform for recording the classroom, recording lessons, and it's cost effective. So we have iPads as old as 4 and 5 years old doing this work, up to brand new iPads. And the only people I've given brand new iPads to are the ones that needed to annotate on the iPad. They really wanted a pen. They're using Explain Everything or other software where they're actually engaging and writing on the iPad. But people who are just needing a camera in the room and they just want to use it as a visual reinforcement of what they're teaching, older iPads work. So if you're in a situation where you needed to outfit like 40 or 50 classrooms, there's a huge market online for buying refurbished and used Apple equipment. You could start doing that, and you could also buy some new ones and kind of split your costs between refurbished and previously used to brand new, and then you're going to see a lower overall price point per classroom. If you opt into some of this new tech that's like 4K cameras, motion detection, all of that, you could be looking at $800 to $2,000 per room. And a lot of that tech is fixed. It's not very flexible. In the event that you needed to close your campus for any reason, the iPad can go home with the teacher. The teacher can then replicate parts of the class again. The teacher can write. The teacher has a document camera. The teacher could use a small whiteboard that you give them. Also very cost effective if they like working on a whiteboard, or they could use any surface to write on at their home. One thing that is great about iPads is you can take things like this, these markers, right on glass. You can take these and you could use any glass, any window in your home to write notes on, and then show them with the iPad to students at home so you can work out problems, do diagrams, etc. Not to mention the fact that with the iPad you can do things like art classes, and you can incorporate choir and band and performances because the iPad can be moved around to work with those different pieces of each of those groups. So it is incredibly flexible, and I highly recommend it as a solution. And if you want more information about how to set it up and how to get it all connected, especially with Google, how to strip it down and make it work properly, get it to work on your MDM, all that other stuff, please feel free to reach out.